This is part 3 of my interview with Mrs. McPherson, and in it, we will discuss suggested improvements regarding how special education is conducted in a school to provide a better learning experience for students. The first suggestion is to stick with the IEP goals. Mrs. McPherson believes that too much time is spent catching students up on their missing homework instead of really addressing the goals set in place for them at their instructional level, regardless of if it's at their intended grade level. For instance, an eighth grader could be performing at a sixth grade level in math. So, as a teacher, we should build from that understanding instead of forcing them to work at an eighth grade content level, because they won't be able to accomplish those tasks. Another idea would be to communicate with parents more frequently, especially when their child is struggling either academically or behaviorally. We want to bring them into the process so that they feel involved and respected in their role. One thing also that Mrs. McPherson wanted was to bring back resource classes, which Warner previously had but has since eliminated. In these classrooms, they were filled with about 8 to 10 students who were all on IEPs. In this learning environment, students who are struggling with mathematics could receive individualized assistance on the things that they were struggling with instead of being with the general education students who were all working on greater on things that were more complex. Lastly, a teaching strategy that Mrs. McPherson would be interested in trying is station teaching, which divides the general education classroom into small stations to work on a specific skill. And then those students are allowed to rotate through the stations and work on each activity. Doing this would allow teachers to have access to students and work in smaller groups with them as needed. Now, thinking about this whole interview, I wanted to bring in some personal application and a little bit of Christian worldview. So, my first thought was when I become a teacher, I want to view students as a holistic being, meaning that they aren't just a person with a brain. They come into my classroom with past experiences and they have feelings and beliefs about the world. And as an educator and as a Christian, I don't want to ignore those things. I want to care about my students as a person who is created in the image of God and teach them with that in mind. Another thing is that I would want to shift away from a herd mindset, meaning that I don't want to just be getting my students through the system, especially the ones who are difficult to handle. Like, I don't want to just survive with them in my class for a year and then pass them on to another teacher without exerting a lot of effort to really improve their learning abilities and make them raise their academic abilities. I want to be proactive about meeting their learning needs where they're at instead of forcing them to perform at a level they really can't attain. Implementing innovative and engaging teaching practices is one way that I can do this. Lastly, I really want to show honor to parents because when God created the world, He instituted the family and made parents the main caregivers and instructors of their children. So I want to respect the role that they have been given by God, even if they aren't acting in a way that I personally prefer. I still want to bring them into the loop and make them as involved as possible. And so those are some of my key takeaways. I hope that you are benefited by them. Thanks for watching.